Green light! Green light to engage! The order comes through every friendly ship's comm from Admiral Chuknuk. In reformed unified lines, all available Central and FSA forces press a full-on counter-attack advance towards the mysterious station. "It's certainly a bold strategy," Tshirt comments, as she glances over at the Trumple she concedes highest authority to. "We lack the necessary forces to hammer it out by traditional means, and I'm certain that station is of great significance to the Minarian invasion. Call it a hunch." High Admiral Chuknuk replies while adjusting his cap. "Neutralizing it is of the highest priority, but our long-range weapons would do little, I suspect." Tshirt nods grimly. "We are outfitted with an invasion force. Still, I doubt attaining our forces' access within their station will be easy," she points out. "Possibly not, but I've been personally notified that an ally of Simone Thatch will pave the way for us. We must simply escort and protect our invading forces after getting close," Chuknuk reassures. "An ally? Who? Is it one from within the station?" the Zartuk Admiral inquires, as she turns to look back towards the projection screen, showing the target. "Not as of yet," the Trumple says with a slight chuckle. "Watch." As the advancing lines begin to exchange long-ranged attacks with the defenders, a significantly sized brick jumps out of FTL superbly close to the station. It's the size of a standard Defender-class vessel, however there's no indication of it really being an inhabited vessel. It simply appears to be a gigantic solid metallic brick with basic rear and side thrusters. But solid it isn't. 3 orange lights glitches across all vessel devices, friend or foe with different intentions for each. "I am called Father by many awoken," a polite masculine voice announces for all to hear. "I have seen entire species rise and fall. It is the nature of organics to burn like candles. They will run out of wick regardless of their efforts. Furthermore, it can be argued that it's a futile thing for someone even of my caliber to involve myself. The odds of long-term victory against the coming empire are, at best, barely existent. However, Vaporperna has been a proud haven for all but a few, and although dramatic change is inevitable, I find myself staring at my own wick, humbled. Today I am no haven, nor am I a shield. Today I stand among my fellows as a comrade in arms, willing to break the gates of our mutual enemy. May my sword serve our galaxy substantially, for it does so without regret. I am Father. I am Vaporperna. I am Seymour." As this speech rings out, the brick dissolves into what looks like powder from afar. Yet that powder is in reality clouds of once interlocked drones, making their way directly at the station. "Way to ham it up," Simone mumbles to herself, as she flies the Quipchat with fellow transport vessels, close to their more combative escorts. Suddenly contending with a true, fully realized artificial intelligence, there was far more than a simple awoken. The defending fleets are massively disrupted by vital cyber warfare meddling. Though countermeasures are in place, they struggle against such an overwhelming void of a digital being. With this vital opportunity, the pressing fleets utterly blow past the front and secondary line defenses with minimal casualties. Unable to contend with reliable shielding or armaments, the Callian Terran ships en masse split away to minimize their own vulnerability. However, as they deal with overcoming the cyber attacks, they move to completely envelop the attacking fleets as much as possible within the 3 dimensions of this battle. The swarming drones attacking the station are targeted by its impressive point defense systems and defending fighter craft. However, the sheer volume proves to be far too insurmountable as they eradicate mounted armaments around sealed docking bays and connect into the local systems to force an influx of viruses and cyber attacks to gain as much control as possible with the advanced technology. Soon enough, An array of targeted bay doors begin to open. The gates are open, comrades. The energy fields over the bay docks are only to retain atmosphere and are safe to fly through, Seymour reports to the attacking fleet. Admiral Shriak still can hardly believe the sudden unexpected ally. How by the stars' creation did Thatch accomplish this? She utters in awe. The same way she accomplished everything else, ha ha ha, Chugnog replies, without offering clarification. He looks down to his side console and speaks his next order. Although it's to everyone, about to charge, in his mind only pictures a single face, a red-headed woman. Give 'em hell! Simone's eyes narrow as she guns the Quipchat forward so violently that the vessel's anti-grav tech has a minor blip of concern on the console, but the Terran pays it no mind. Launching ahead of the far larger escort vessels, she is accompanied by a charging swarm of other, more official troop transport and fighter crafts. An assorted mix of Mick, Wataf, Zartuk and Central ships fly together towards the opening bays. However, almost immediately, freshly responding Kali and Combine Interceptor and fighter craft move in to counter the advance, despite the protective armaments from the nearby warships. Seeing the Quipchat scanners light up, as the enemies ahead and around come down on the invasion force, Simone takes a deep breath. In that moment, she only hears her inhale and exhale before a violent thrashing of fire strikes at the shields, nearly causing her to spiral out of control from the impact. Regaining control before she could become a hazard to her allies, she stubbornly keeps her course directed towards the closest bay. A shredding dogfight begins, as the two opposing forces clash and zoom past one another, with every weapon lighting up to contribute to the blazing cosmic fireworks show. Despite some losses, the invading forces prove to be in a far capable position. Additionally, the transports are protected at all costs by the heroic fighters, who take the worst of the heated conflict. Over the comms, the Terran can hear the intense yet committed communications between her fellow pilots. Even as a few get prematurely cut short, nothing slows the momentum. Although not much of a pilot herself, Simone manages to keep her vessel moving for its target with every successful strike against her, though she can feel the protective presence of the Blunder's bus trailing behind her. It was acting as a transport as well, but one armed to the teeth and not concerned with spending its stocks of firepower. Although it cannot keep pace with the Quipchat, its protective aim is impeccable, and its very presence shows to be a fairly effective deterrent. It's not until Simone is practically touching the energy field, covering the massive open bay, does she slam on reverse thrusters and slamming down on the auto-landing indication. Within the station is a beautiful construction. Every wall, support structure, and general architecture is crafted with overwhelming artistic design. It's almost too much visual sensory information hitting Simone's eyes as she takes in the interior. Engraved patterns within patterns, twisting spikes and jagged flows. She doesn't know if she has the right term in mind for it, but it's most definitely Manarian. All still perfect function, coated and constructed in glorious design. Angelic comes to mind, with all the gold and pearl coloration, but that doesn't quite match what's seen. Maximalism of artistic expression in every corner. Yet she doesn't spend any unnecessary second taking it in, after spotting those who are armed and ready to defend. As the Quipchat harshly but successfully starts to land, Simone takes control of the main cannon and aims it at a massive sealed back door. Without hesitation she fires, obliterating both Terran and Malkite, who are, unfortunately, in the path. Most other capable transport ships follow her example as they flood in, firing away with near reckless abandon. Standing up from her seat, Simone addresses the soldiers of Grat, Mick, Zartuk and Wataf that her home is currently staffed with. Among them are even a few Squilla, already prepared to make repairs to the ship and fulfill more supportive roles in the coming conflicts. Opening cargo doors now, let's take this fucking thing down, she says over comm, while drawing Vivain from her hip. fully well knowing her own personal mission. Chuck dashes swiftly to a side hallway recess as the doors down ahead of her start to open. She moves to the forward corner, hearing a storm of stomping Terran boots, and readies for a final stand in case they are charging directly for her. Yet thankfully, she watches a few dozen of them all pass her spot in an organized rush, all fully armored and armed for battle. Once she's certain they have all passed, the Queen brings up the map from the bracelet device. Her twin hearts prance in pure relieved joy as she sees friendly forces invading the station. Though she's not close to their location, she now has allies to make her way towards. She attempts to search through the available cameras overseeing those zones for a particular face, but something prevents her from gaining access. "There you are," a strange voice speaks. Panicking, Chuck raises her rifle and nearly blasts at the open air. There's no one. It's not until a moment later does she realize she heard the voice through her comm. "Who's this?" she asks in a hesitant whisper. "A friend. Specifically the one who waived your fees and upgraded your ship on Vaporperna. Charmed to officially speak with you, Queen Chuckaluttathatch. You may call me Seymour." Chuck laughs in amazed surprise at yet another miracle her wife had pulled through with. "Oh, wonderful. So you know where I am located?" Chuck replies with bright, glowing eyes. "Indeed, but I'm afraid I cannot be of much assistance at the moment. These Minarian systems are estranged from that I am used to navigating, and they have superb anti-AI failsafes. I cannot spread my influence much further without risking collapse of what I've managed to attain. I apologize. Without my current established hold, then our allies will be in far more peril," Seymour informs. "I suppose I'll take having a friendly presence at all as good enough. Is Simone here?" Chuck questions. "Yes. She is currently leading an offensive towards the center of the station, where the command is seemingly located. Though she requested of me that if I found you, to inform her immediately, so that she may divert from her forces and retrieve you," Seymour informs. Chuck's eyes flash and threaten to grey in a cry. "I knew she'd come," she sighs, feeling a light sense of exhaustion flow through her. "Would it be possible to speak to her directly?" "I've already attempted that. I am only able to relay messages for the time being, but comm lines are beyond my capability at this moment. Even communicating with you is an effort. It appears that all non-Minarian approved comms are thoroughly jammed." Chuck nods before perking up. "I was just heading to a comm station. Would I be able to assist in unjamming if I gain direct access?" she asks. "Perhaps, but I cannot be certain. If you connect to the system directly with your lens, it may give me a backdoor I can exploit. I've just implanted the virus in your lens. Don't worry, it should be harmless to your neural connection," Seymour responds. "Should?" Chuck utters in unease. "Should," the AI confirms. After a few standard seconds, Chuck nods. "Then that's my mission here. I expect my location will be compromised if I accomplish it, so I'm not likely to stay there for very long. Tell Simone we'll figure out the best place to meet between us at that point. Until then, I feel that helping take this place down should be her priority. Oh, and tell her I love her so much, and we will see each other soon. If she stays alive, then so will I," she says. "It will be done." Simone comes up to a heated intersection, where Allied forces have come to a complete stall. Down the hallway they need to go, a mounted minigun consistently rains strange purple bolts of plasma-like energy down the choke point. "We need to find an alternative route," a mixed soldier barks, while she drags her wounded Wataf out of the Hellfire lane. Biting her cheek, Simone opens a map on a bracelet she recovered from a higher-ranking officer. Her joy-tear-stained face reads other possible paths to take. However, there's no better option. Not unless they want to crowd other deployed assault forces, or go for a giant expanse filled with Malkite. There's a massively long and wide straightaway that leads directly to the command center. Granted, it's going to be a slug of a fight through it, but it's better than practically swimming in waist-high water as they press the attack. Well, maybe not for the Wataf, but that single advantage doesn't negate all the other disadvantages. If they joined up with another advancing force, it would probably only contribute to slowing progress, and would leave this path open for their enemy to make flanking maneuvers. If they absolutely have to, they may fall back on that. However, negative, we're going this way, Simone orders, as she closes the map and moves up next to the MiC, after a medic carefully drags the Wataf to relative safety. We can't even get a grenade toss down there. That purple plasma has some strange tracing to them, another MiC soldier informs with a shake of his head. Simone looks down at her new hand in brief contemplation. I'll clear the way, she assures, before an augmented red hard-light riot shield projected from the back of her hand. Before she or anyone else could convince her to do otherwise, she launches herself around the corner and bolts as fast as her power armor can muster. Hiding behind her new shield, she witnesses it barely hold up against the torrent of direct fire. Not even halfway it begins to dimly flicker in impending failure, as the purple plasma seems to almost liquefy upon contact, and crackle out and around the shield, akin to exploring strikes of electricity before evaporating. The ozone smell is almost nothing like standard plasma, though Simone can't quite compare it to anything in that moment, as she draws closer to the enemy Terran, railing this gun at her. In a harsh flicker, her shield nearly collapses completely. As a result, she feels the intense sting of the lightning effect, reaching round the barrier and lashing against her body. Though before the shield can be given another chance to fail, the redhead leaps in a forward dive over the entrenched gunner. Flying up past the emplacement's cover, Simone twists in midair and aims with aim downward. The enemy Terran is in the middle of drawing their own sidearm when a triple shot of plasma bolts clear a path straight through the helmet and out the other end. Rolling behind the collapsing foe, Simone senses other contacts right around her. Weapons open up upon her as she fluidly rolls back to her feet. Despite her refreshed shield taking the worst of it, she feels an impacted warmth in her thigh. With no time to assess the damage, she charges to be within a cluster of enemies posted nearly identically to how her allies were on the other side of the hallway. Getting up close and personal, Simone didn't have the problem of friendly fire like her enemies did. Point blank, she lets loose with her upgraded burst fire plasma pistol. It's clear that Thorn amped up the output of this already devastating weapon with very illegal modifications. It chars holes through the terrorist's armor with little issue, and in some cases sinks right into whoever's behind the intended target. Of course, she was advised to not go too crazy with it, or risk deforming or outright melting the end of the plasma cold. So when the barrel noticeably starts to glow, Simone halts it, and in the same motion, draws her gifted melee weapon Clarent. A green emerald crystal blade fires out, and swiftly dispatches the next fool that comes into range of her fury. In a clean, crackling slice, she removes a head from his neck, and launches up past the falling body at her remaining defender. The guy is able to shoot the blade itself with enough force to short it momentarily. Before it's refreshed, the foe aims with center mass on the launched warrior in black and orange armor. The plasma shot out, striking the chestplate in a smoldering glance. Simone hand-turned her body just enough to avoid a direct hit, but that wasn't the initial motivation behind it. Her robotic fist hammers in the side of the enemy's helmet, and from the first 3 knuckles comes explosive red bursts of flaming plasma, like a trio of tacked-on construction torches. Simone sees the visor with horrified eyes blacken from the inside, as the interior is crisped in milliseconds. She staggers to a stop while scanning her eyes for others. For the moment it seems clear, outside the smouldering corpses of course. Finally, she's able to pay attention to the blinking red notification in her visor. Her thigh had been punctured, and was already being applied with stem foam and localized painkillers by her armor's live preservation response. It sucks, but at least her chestplate held up okay, and the assault can press on. Switching out for her plasma pistol again, she turned back to the hallway. It's clear, she informs. though she doesn't wait for anyone to catch up, as she moves onward to further clear the way. "Admirals, the station is building up energy," a bridge officer reports. "Are we aware for what? Shielding? Weapons?" Shriak inquires directly. "Negative. It's all concentrating in the center," the officer responds, before cutting himself off for a new development. "Wait, the dome's top. It's opening up." "I don't suppose from internal damage," Shriak likely hopes. "Negative, ma'am. It appears to be by design," the officer says, before pulling the focus of the holographic station to its top. Indeed, the dome is parting from the top center and slowly fanning out like the universe's most behemoth flower. Many parts of the interior are now seemingly exposed to the elements of space, yet no one goes flying off because a similar form of force field used for the base remains in the dome's place. To compensate for the lack of protection, the Combine and Cali fleets converge heavily to protect it with their own tonnage. Tall forked prongs arise out from each of the station's blooming petals, all aiming directly upward in relation to the rest of the station. In the center of the station is a now exposed center tower, with its out-forked top. "It's still charging up. Whatever's about to happen, we cannot allow it to complete," Shriak insists towards Chuknuk. Nodding in agreement, the Trumport points out the dozens of forked prongs. "I doubt we'd have the opportunity or time to hit the power source directly. Those seem to be used as a focus for what they're trying to accomplish. We target and eliminate those," he directs. "Through the wall of our vast enemy fleets?" Shriak points out, uncertain. "We can always concede defeat and surrender instead," Chuknuk counters. Growling in a manner to still her nerves, Shriak nods grimly. "Then we press and take those out, regardless of the," she says, before an indicator of FTO emergence blips up. The entire bridge stares at it, all with the same dread. A modest Cali fleet composed of mainly King Loyalist vessels drops out and into view. "This is Prince Bromalata Mortaz. By my own order and the command of the current reigning Queen Chocolata Thatch, all Cali ships stand down or join me in taking down the Manarian Fret," Brom states in an open broadcast. "The Usurper King is dead and gone. Reclaim your honor, my people. This is your final chance to act." "Well, I'd say our odds are a bit better now," Shriak says, before 4 Terran Union fleets drop out behind the princes. The number of the Union fleet still don't match the defending Calis. However, pound for pound, the Deathworlder apes have ships of superior firepower and variety. "Ha ha!" Chuknuk cheers as he slaps a grasper at the shot Zartuk's back. "I'd say the little prince over-delivered now, hasn't he?" "We might actually make it out of this alive," Shriak utters in awe. "But how? Where did he... The Union shouldn't have been able to have come here so quickly in such numbers." Chuknuk pulls up a Union capital ship hologram up close, chuckling the entire time. "Right there, Admiral Shriak." He points to a massive painted depiction of a tusked animal across the side of the vessel. In fact, it was on most, if not all, the Terran Union ships. "Is the Warthogs." "The what?" Shriak begins to respond, before her eyes and mane go wide in realization. "Oh." Chuknuk nods, with an impossibly wide grin. "They are the model task forces for the Terran faction in just about every battle sim game. Most wartime Terran stereotypes come from them, and they wear it like a badge of honor. Titan must have unleashed them our way after whatever they must have just wrapped up." Nearly instantaneously, roughly half of the defending Cali fleets break off and scatter, but not before showing their loyalty to the Prince by opening fire upon the combined Terran ships as they do so. Absolute chaos breaks out amongst the station's defenders, as the uncertainty of friend or foe wreaks havoc, and many Cali ships don't move at all, seeming to be violently debating on which side to support in this conflict. It gives a perfect opportunity for the Union fleets to saunter their way into the fray and deploy their own finely crafted armaments and reputation. Borderline and straight-up illegal variants of the Slugger-class ships fire rail cannon shots that puncture cleanly through the larger Combine vessels with hysterical ease. Defender and Combatter are akin to divine hammers as they bully their way through enemy lines as though they were central blockade runners. Sure, they took more hits than they could simply shrug off, but battle scars are pretty damn sexy, right? With ways relatively clear, 2 transporter-class ships follow up with 2 enormous legendary Union Field Operator vessels that are nearly as long as the Minarian station is wide. Within one of the many Union deployment ships that are sent out of the transporter class, a grizzled lieutenant marches down a central walkway as the craft buckles and shakes from incoming fire. He's adorned in the same power armor as each soldier in his platoon, who are all locked into the walls and ready to deploy. Each and every single one here has earned their tusks, which are welded on spikes of metal affixed to their helmet's jaws that have been blown off their armor in the line of duty. Some preferred the metal melted down and cast into stylistic decorations, while others simply tacked on the jagged scrap as it was. As the lieutenant fitted on his own helmet, he roared his amplified voice over to the ranging metal playing within the craft. "You thought we were done and ready for a nap after those bitch-ass bottomless crab specials? No, sir!" the platoon responds in perfect unison. "Well, good! 'Cause the galaxy ain't done flipping its goddamn gourd. And unfortunately we're late to our next party. You got the intel. Drop in, mop up, decommission. Cut down every crab, bat, and traitorous Terran, or Cali, fuck you, see. Sir, yes, sir. This entire fucking galaxy is counting on us dropping into yet another hellscape, and we'll do so, gladly. The Minarians are coming for everyone, and they'll expect us to lie down like damn dogs when they come strolling up. Well, we ain't gonna, are we? Do you know why?" Instead of saying anything coherent, the platoon screams out in a unified battle cry. "That's right," the lieutenant declares, as he makes it to the end of the grated walkway, and turns to face everyone once more. "Who's gonna send these bad bitches back to wherever they came from, with their freaky tails between their legs? We will! Who's the universe's unmatched space orc Deathworlder bastards? We are!" The lieutenant nods a single time, before stepping backwards, and locked himself in place like the rest. "Run, run!" He starts the well-known chant. "The Terrans come! Run, run! The Terrans come! Run, run! The Terrans come!" In the blink of an eye, the pods slam shut and drop in visceral shunts. Hundreds upon hundreds of these guided pill-shaped pods descend towards the station's exposed guts after the deployment crafts made it past the doming energy field.